Well, let me tell you, I'm John Donohue, and I approve the following message. When I speak about Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, I often feel like Yogi Berra, because nobody knows we're here except for the 5 million people that visit every year. And if you arrived here today, you probably came through the park, or at the very least you drove alongside the park somewhere. And let's just take a moment to give you a little background about the park. We basically run all the way from Matamoros down through into Northampton County on the Pennsylvania side, and mirror that on the New Jersey side as well. And the vision of the park was from Ridgetop in New Jersey to Ridgetop in Pennsylvania. We are presently actually 2 separate parks. There's the recreation area. We also have 40 miles of the Delaware River, which is the middle Delaware scenic and recreational river. One of the things I'll make the case for is that we should actually be 3 parks. And the third park, besides the 70,000 acres of land and the 40 miles of river, the third thing that should be a park is Route 209. We administer 22 miles of Route 209, which is one of the most scenic places that you could possibly drive through. But the idea of Route 209 doesn't really inspire you to want to conserve and preserve. What it should be is the Delaware River Valley Parkway. And perhaps someday we'll get to a point where that study takes place and that legislation takes place. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening immediately that fit right in with the economic development and the tourism that we're talking about here today. One is just this week we started with some consultants working on an alternative transportation plan for the park. And it's something that I hope everybody, all the businesses and all the people in the area will support. The 5 million people that visit now come by car. And the tradition in this area that you've talked about is that people would arrive by train, mostly from New York City, into Port Jervis. They would get on their bicycles, and they would spend 3, 4, 5 days riding down to Delaware Water Gap, where they'd spend a few more days, and then they would go back to New York by train. Well, we all know the train is coming back, and that the people are continuing to come. And we know that we can handle a lot more people in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, but there is a question about how many more cars we can handle. So this alternative transportation study is going to work with all 5 counties that surround us, with the towns, the 22 townships, with a lot of the local businesses. And my vision is that someday you'll be able to come here and stay at the Fauchère, or stay at Fernwood or Shawnee or any other place, and never have to get in your car again. That eventually you'd be able to get on a totally sustainable, environmentally preferable kind of transportation mode that would bring you to various places in the park, to the businesses, to the resorts, and you would be able to stay as far south as Shawnee and get on the bus and visit the New Jersey swim beach that we're just starting to build this year. And other sites, you could go to Peters Valley, the Craft Center, you could go to Millbrook, the historic village, and then come on back into the Pennsylvania side. I realize that the 2 nations of Pennsylvania and New Jersey will offer some jurisdictional issues, but I think that we can find a way to overcome them. Even if you have to stop at the Milford Bridge, walk across, and hand in your transfer to get on the bus in New Jersey. But we will find a way. And this is just beginning, but it's a program that I think is going to be extremely beneficial to us. There is going to be a lot of appropriations over the next 10 years for alternative transportation, and I think the Department of Interior is going to be a big player in that, and I'd very much like to see us benefit from that in this area. I think it'll enhance tourism, it'll enhance the opportunities to protect the natural and cultural resources that we have here as well. The second thing I just want to mention, and a lot of the folks that are here today have been working with us on this project, is the concept that we have of wanting to connect our federal lands to the Pennsylvania state lands. On the New Jersey side of the park, we have about 35,000 acres, which are very closely connected to the New Jersey state lands, to the forests, to the parks, to the game lands, either directly adjacent to them or connected in some other way. On the Pennsylvania side, we have a huge amount of acreage that is administered by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but it's not connected. And there are opportunities for us to connect those lands, to create wildlife corridors so that the wildlife will be here with us forever. And I would always argue that without the wildlife, which we have here better than almost any other place, the landscape itself is nothing more than a portrait painting. The wildlife is critical. It also provides great opportunities for hiking, for other kinds of recreation. And we would be able to create, and Dennis and his group are working on this along with counties and a lot of other folks, at least 400,000 acres of contiguous habitat, less than 80 miles from Manhattan. And I think that's an opportunity that we probably have a window of 10 years or less. Before I was saying 5 years, a little economic downturn might have helped us a little bit. But that's something that hopefully we'll continue working on. The McDade Trail we hope to have finished next year, which will be a hiking and biking trail that runs all the way from Milford Beach down into Monroe County. It'll be 30 miles long, and I think it's going to offer a lot of opportunities for people, not just for hiking and biking, but in the future to have a hiking, biking, canoeing kind of experience that we can set up. A lot of the townships are looking at ways to connect to the McDade Trail, and I think that this is also going to be something that's going to add to the thrill of coming to this area. Let me just add that we talked a little bit about how Milford is so critical in the creation of the original environmental movement with Gifford Pinchot and Teddy Roosevelt and John Muir. I've also always argued that the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, which I think everybody knows was originally envisioned as a lake side that would be created by the Tox Island Dam. And I argue very strenuously that it was one of the two events that you can have a direct nexus between the event and the creation of the modern environmental movement, the other one being the oil spill in Santa Barbara in 1968. But the local people around this area got together and decided they were not going to allow the Delaware River Valley to be flooded, that they were not going to allow to see all of their communities disappear. And they stopped the United States of America, they stopped the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm not sure that the Army Corps had ever been stopped before, since George Washington founded them. But it really demonstrated to people around this nation that local people can get together, that the citizenry can have a voice, and that they can have a dramatic effect on what happens. And I think from that, we saw a lot of the environmental movement grow in today's world that we're still benefiting from every single day. So in any event, we're really thrilled at the Park Service to be here and to be part of a community with a consortium of so many wonderful citizens that take so much of their time and effort and their own money to make this a better place. And I truly hope that we can continue to contribute to that.